Hey guys, good morning. I thought I would give you a little update on our dog Love, who I mentioned a couple of videos ago was having some seizures. So she started having seizures around the end of August, and over Labor Day weekend it got, right before Labor Day weekend it got quite bad. So we brought her to the vet and we were thinking the absolute worst. We were thinking she had a brain tumor. We were possibly going to have to put her down. Like, we were pretty scared. But when we got there, the vet was pretty adamant that she had a middle ear infection, which she's had lots of ear infections. That's kind of her thing. But she had no symptoms, so we were like, oh, okay, middle ear infection. That's a little strange. So he put her on some CBD oil and some antibiotics. And it took a little while, but after probably 4 or 5 days, she seemed to start to improve. And she continued to improve for about 5 weeks. Then at the 5-week mark, she started to show signs of not aggression, but aggression for her, because she's very docile and very loving dog, happy-go-lucky. People ask us how old our puppy is all the time, and we're like, she's 8. So she was starting to kind of show some signs of aggression and was like pacing around the house, having a lot of accidents, which can happen after seizures. Sometimes they need like a retraining kind of process to go through. So anyway, she seemed to be escalating that way. Then last weekend, she had another seizure. She had been seizure free for about 6 weeks. She had another seizure. It wasn't quite as bad as her previous ones, but she didn't seem to bounce back quite the same. Then the next day she had a couple more, and then that evening a couple more. So on Monday we brought her back to the vet, thinking, okay, again, we might be dealing with something more ominous than an ear infection. The vet was quite surprised that the CBD oil wasn't working anymore to control her seizures, but he was still pretty convinced that it's a middle ear infection that's caused some brain irritation. And back when we saw him initially, he had said, I had a dog that did the exact same thing and it took her 6 months. So we're looking at about 6 weeks. But we just didn't know what to expect, if we should expect her to be seizure free, if this was just kind of a one-off, but she seemed to be escalating into a significant seizure pattern again. So we did bring her in to be seen. So we started her on a new seizure medication called potassium bromide, and he put her on pretty heavy antibiotics, hoping that this one would cross the blood-brain barrier and maybe help, because when she was on the antibiotics, she did seem to improve pretty significantly. He's not convinced that it's a brain tumor. He feels that he can kind of diagnose that through symptoms. But the other thing it could be is canine epilepsy, which there's really no test for. It's kind of like a rule out everything else. And I don't know if you're a pet owner, but you know how expensive things can be, so we didn't feel it necessary to spend thousands of dollars on some kind of a brain scan just to find out that there's nothing there. So she's had a rough couple of days. I'm thinking that she's pretty sedated from the medication, from bridging between the CBD and this new medication, which can make them pretty sleepy. She's having lots of accidents. She stumbles around like she's intoxicated. She is weak. She was walking around last night with her eyes closed, and then this morning she had an accident in her crate and required a bath, and then she just kind of laid on the kitchen floor, and we're trying to give her medication and she's just not having it. So that is what's going on with our pup. It's so hard to watch her. I don't know if you have an animal that's been sick. She's almost 9 and she's never really had much of anything wrong with her, so this is completely foreign to us. And it's really hard to watch. So we're not sure exactly what's going to happen with her. We're still hopeful that you know, these antibiotics and this new medication will help. He seemed to think that if it wasn't an ear infection and it was epilepsy, that she'd be on the right medication anyway. And he told us that it's probably going to take about 10 days for that medication to take effect. So we can expect her to have maybe have seizures in between that time. We're thinking she had a seizure last night just based on how she's acting. She was in her crate. But yeah, so that's kind of what's going on in our world. This poor little girl. Makes me so sad to see her like that. I mean, this is pretty much what she's been like for the last couple of days. That wiener there beside her has her antibiotic in it. She tried to eat it and got a little stumbly, and I don't know if the bath was just too much for her this morning, and she just fell asleep. She does, you can see she has these kind of tremblings that's residual from when she has seizures and when she's on higher doses of the CBD, which we had increased her CBD thinking that would help, but it didn't seem to help break the cycle, so we had to bring her in. But this is not her seizures, this is just her when she's waking up or falling asleep. She's kind of like this. Good morning, love. But you can tell she's not feeling well, or I think she probably feels a little yucky, but I think it might be more from the medication. And trying to eat your treat. Eat your treat. So yeah, that's our poor girl at her current state. She's probably gonna get up and pee on the floor here right now. She doesn't do too hot on the stairs when she's in this state. So I'm gonna go tend to her, and I just wanted to update you guys and let you know what was going on with our pup, because people seem to really like her, seeing her in the videos, and she's a little crazy and she's kind of cute. So that's what's going on with us. I hope everybody has a nice Wednesday. We'll see you later.